Okay. Hi. Hello,
Hello.
Dave. Thank you for joining us for the Leadership Podcast. So, the Leadership Game podcast is a for me, I look at it, leadership as a game. I look at it as a game that we have to learn to win because you have to win in this game, leadership, because leadership is so complex, so subtle,
Hmm.
so difficult. People don't get it. People get it. There's a fine line between being a leader who leads and a boss who dominates or manipulates and confuses his own tribe. So there's a
Yeah.
whole lot of stuff, it's a whole lot of mix to it. And I feel the reason why I set this game off, this leadership podcast, is to just to talk about the simplicity, because it could be very simple if we get it right. And it could also be very complex if we get it wrong. And so I've met you, Dave Brown, face to face. I remember meeting you in Southampton the other day and had a funny trip getting
Thank you
down
for the
there.
drink.
My pleasure. Thank you for your patience. Showing I got there, obviously I got it wrong, got different directions wrong, but we got there at the end. And thank you again. So it's been a pleasure to meet you. I've watched you talk about your journey in a friend, um, Dan and Ray's podcast. It was good to have you on there to watch you. And there was something about you that attracted me to you. And obviously, I decided to invite you to be a guest in this show. And I'm sure people are wondering, okay, who's Dave? Let's see, who's Dave? So, first question, let's fire on. Who is Dave Brown?
So, so I'm from Bournemouth. Have lived in Bournemouth for the last 30 odd years. I work for Redside. So, Redside is a construction company, and myself and my colleague Paul set Redside up about 6 years ago. And yeah, we do construction projects for domestic and commercial clients. Um, Outside of Redside, I'm a Christian. As I was explaining to you earlier, I preached yesterday, so
Mhm.
I do a number of preaching dates each year. Have a wife and two children, um, and yeah, just that's pretty much it.
Fantastic. So we got Dave Brown from Bournemouth. You run a construction. Now, before construction, what were you doing, Dave, before prior to that?
So, for 12 years, I worked for an investment bank, and I did that up until 2014. So
Mm,
I kind of left school, did a few things, then started at the bank, relatively short term prospect. Started in 2002, thought I'll do this for a little while, find my calling, and then I'll go off and do that. Stayed there for
mm,
12 years till
wow.
2014. Um, and in 2014, I just felt like I should, 2013, I thought I should retrain. So I retrained as an electrician while I
Mm,
was still at the bank, and then I left the bank June 2014 and did 4 years of um, fairly solid electrical work. And from then, my colleague Paul, who was a civil servant at the time, decided that that we would set up a company. So we set up a building firm, and since April 2018, Redside has been going, and yeah, we
mm.
started off with just the two of us, and the rest is history. Really, it's just yeah, we're having fun.
Amazing stuff. Banking, construction. How do you mix the two together? Come on.
Yeah, I don't think the two really, I don't think the two really dovetail particularly well.
Mm,
Um, but
mm,
yeah, there are certain skills that are transferable.
mm,
I don't spend a lot of time on the tools right now because of kind of management stuff, administrative stuff. But there are lots of skills I've brought from the bank which have helped me to lead the company with Paul. So between the two
mm,
of us, we run Redside. We have different responsibilities, but we are both on the same page in terms of what we want to do, how we want Redside to run, and so we run Redside together, and it's great. It's great being in business with a friend. Me and Paul have been friends since we were 10 and 11. So
Mm.
for the last 30 odd years, and yeah, it's great. It's really good.
Amazing, amazing stuff. You know what? I'm also quite interested in knowing what was it like when you started, obviously walking it, because I did a banking job for 7 years. I've said that to you before, 7 years, and I obviously transitioned to doing what I do now. And
Mm.
I know it was a bit of a challenge at the beginning for me. What was it like for you when you started Redside Construction?
So I did the 4 years of electrical work, and
Mm,
that was really the most nerve-wracking because I was starting in a new industry where I had
mm,
very little experience. And
yeah,
I remember driving to some jobs and thinking, I've got no idea what I'm going to face here, and I don't
mm,
actually know how long it's going to take me. I know I can do the
mm,
work, but I lack the experience in knowing how long it will take and exactly what materials I'm going to need, and just the planning and preparation was a real minefield. Um,
mm,
so yeah, that was a challenge. As time went on, I became more confident, initially when I was an electrician, I was just working for myself. So
right.
it was just me. I wasn't responsible for anyone else.
Mm,
Whereas now it's a slightly bigger machine, and so there's
mm,
more to it. But yeah, I think experience counts for a massive amount
yeah.
in business and in industry. And yeah, I'm thankful that those first few years I managed to get some good experience to kind of
Mm.
so that me and Paul could start Redside in 2018, and then go from there.
Okay, interesting. Also, to also ask you this question, when you started, obviously as an electrician, why did you choose that pathway as an electrician? What made you go in that direction? Was there anything
Um,
particularly?
no, no, I had no interest in
Hmm.
electric per se. I wasn't practically minded. I honestly had the most basic tool bag, and it was really just a moment one evening when our son was 6 weeks old, and I was chatting with my wife, and I just thought I need an exit plan. If there was another financial crisis as there was in 2007, 2008, um,
Yeah.
do I have anything to fall back on? And so when I trained as an electrician because it's something that people need. People, you need to have a qualification and be part of a membership scheme to be able to sign work off. So I thought, well, that's something that I could do, and so I decided to pursue it, and from then,
Mm.
yeah, business just
Wow.
grew and grew, and really from day one, I've not had an unwanted day off. I've not had a day in the last 10 years where my diary's been empty
Mm.
due to no work. So I'm really blessed, and Paul and I are very blessed that we are continually provided with work, and
Mm.
yeah, we can now run Redside knowing that um, we've got a great client base, and yeah, we love what we do. So yeah, we're happy.
Amazing. Amazing stuff. 10 years in the game, 10 years as an electrician in the construction industry. I know it's
Yeah,
a very hard industry as well. It's a bit like because I've worked with a lot of people in the construction industry. It's a bit of a tough industry, isn't it? You've got to really develop tough skin. Is that right? Would you say that?
yeah.
You did it.
I think
Mm,
the perception is that
mm,
lots of builders, lots of construction tradespeople um, just just don't respect their clients.
mm, mm.
We're gonna rip them off.
Yeah.
Whereas and difficult to change that perception, and so you can only change that through honesty, integrity, and
Mm,
just showing people that you're different
mm,
the kind of the judgment that people have on others. Like we're not the same. We would be really upset if someone thought we're just in it for ourselves. Because if we
mm,
were in it for ourselves, we'd have
mm,
stayed in our previous jobs. So
mm.
yeah, there's more to Redside than just making money.
I love that. I love that. You know what? That's already going into the subject of leadership that I really want to explore. I had a guest last time and we talked about heart-centered leadership. And I think what we were really talking about was about leadership with principles, where you really, like you say, money is not the order, is not what you're totally out for. You're out for creating something different in the marketplace where people can trust you. People can associate themselves with you. Because again, it is perceived as a very tough industry where people are just out there to make money from you at their expense.
Yeah.
Interesting. And you also talked about being a Christian. Tell us about your journey. What you preach on Sundays as well.
Yeah.
Running a business. Doing all that, and also preaching and the
Yeah.
Christian. How? What's that journey been like? About your faith? Talk to us about it.
So I became a Christian when I was 12, and since then it's not been plain sailing. So my teenage years, whilst I wasn't going out of my way to do things that were wrong, I just
Mm,
don't think I took my Christianity seriously.
mm,
And it wasn't until probably my late teens and into my 20s that I really started to make decisions that were for Christ and not for myself. And and so I would say that my Christianity has been, yeah, it's been a real journey. It's been really important to me, for much of the time that I've been a Christian,
mm,
and that seems to be increasing. So I've found that during my early 20s, whilst Christianity was important to me, it was I found it difficult to be a Christian in the workplace, and
mm,
it was a bit of a challenge.
mm,
Whereas now, running a company, as me and Paul do, we're both Christians.
mm,
Um, we both really want to make sure that we are the light of Jesus in the workplace, and so we want to make sure that
mm,
we're acting in a way that honors Christ
mm,
and will further His kingdom. And so, yeah, so we run our business in that way. So I
mm,
met my wife, who's also a Christian, and so we brought our children up. We have two kids, so we brought our children up
mm,
to try and teach them about the love of Christ and about how they can accept Him as our Savior as well.
mm,
And yeah, in the last 6 years, I've been preaching. Initially, it was once or twice a year, and so now last year it was, I think I did 10 or 11,
mm,
so about once a month, and
mm,
yeah, love just getting into the Word of God,
mm,
studying it, and finding
mm,
ways in which I can communicate it to other people in a way that
mm.
they'll be able to understand and that they can meet with Jesus as well. So yeah,
Wow,
it's good.
amazing. That's amazing testimony, brother. I must say, being a man of faith, I know the challenges you can face as well. Sharing even your truth and your principles in the workplace can be challenging. Have you experienced a challenge with that? Sharing your faith, even in the workplace?
Um, I think it's not. We've not found it a massive challenge because it's just
Mm,
something that we are. People
mm,
know that we're Christians. That Paul and I we're both Christians. We run our company in a way that honors Christ. We hope,
mm,
and so what you see is what you get. We're not trying to
mm,
force anything on anybody, but at the
mm,
same point, it's important to us, and it's part of who we are.
mm,
Um, and so
mm,
it comes with us. So we go to people's houses, and we're
mm,
Christians. We may not
mm,
actively preach the gospel while we're there, but
mm,
we act in a way that is hopefully reflective of how
mm,
Jesus would behave. And so um,
mm,
yeah,
mm.
that's really
I
important to
love
us.
that.
And
Yeah, I love that. I love that because again, when you say to honor Christ, you're talking about the values and the character of Jesus, and in that character, we're talking about integrity, we're talking about respect, we're talking about
mm,
love for people,
yep.
and I think that's important to us. And how is that affecting your business? How are people seeing or perceiving your business as opposed to other businesses that do not demonstrate such values of that?
I think I think what we find is that um, people respect us for how we do business. So
Mm,
we've always told people that we're not the cheapest people in the world. We're not
mm,
the cheapest construction company that they will go to. But
mm,
what they will find is that we are true to our word. We'll be there
mm,
when we say we will. We'll do what we say we will. If there's a
mm,
problem, that we'll deal with the issue, however
mm,
that may be. If there's financial implication to us, then that's
mm,
something we accept, because
mm,
we would much rather that someone has a positive experience than
mm,
we wrangle with someone over a small financial discrepancy.
mm,
Because really, me and Paul want to be able to walk down the street or be in church, and if that person who is our client, or we're dealing with, if they walk into church, we want to be able to stand with our head held high and say, "Do you
mm,
know what? We've acted with integrity, and that's what's
mm,
important to us. That winning souls for Jesus is more
mm,
important than financial gain." And so,
mm,
yeah, we're
mm,
secure
mm,
in our future, and we're secure knowing that actually,
mm,
as long as we continue to act and behave in a way that
mm,
honors Jesus, then we're you know
mm.
then we're
Yeah,
happy. That's
I
what we
love
need.
I love that, Dave, because again, like I said, I've worked with a lot of people in construction, and I'm not saying people are fairly not truthful in the construction industry. I know it's a tough industry. I know people really are concerned about making money at the expense of either the people that work with them, or the expense of just profit gaining. It's a big thing, and obviously to hear what you're saying, how important your values and your principles are. I think that really cuts across whatever industry you are. Just playing it right, just the common sense, doing things right. I'm also thinking about the people that you work with. And I like the analogy you say, when people come into church and see you, but you can still hold your head high and say, yeah, we've done right. We've done right by you. And someone said it's not about what you do in the open, it's what you do in the secret. That's really where your strength is. And I think that's so powerful. Again, leadership game. We're talking about this. So far your journey, 10 years in the game, 10 years still doing what Redside Properties. What I'm really kind of interested. Have you ever felt a point of just giving it all up and say, you know what, I'm done with this. Let's just go to someone else.
Yeah, there have been a couple of points. It's usually when we encounter some challenges with particular jobs. It's
Mm,
often when we're faced with the biggest challenges that I think to myself, do you know, I don't know whether this is worth the effort.
mm,
I'm almost in a moment of weakness, and I think,
mm,
is this really worth it?
mm,
And could I find myself going back into an office-based job? Go back to banking, or go
mm,
back to something where I'm just employed, and I turn up
mm,
9 to 5, Monday to Friday, and just and live
mm,
that life
mm,
again. And
mm,
it's very short-lived. Like,
mm,
the feeling comes, and then it very quickly, maybe in a day or two, I think,
mm.
no, this is where I'm meant to be. This is what I've been called to do.
Mm,
Therefore, I'm going to do it. And I know that God will equip me with the strength to do what He's asked me to do. And so, He's brought me on this journey. He's not just
mm,
going to leave me high and dry and say, no, sorry. Uh, you know.
mm,
Um,
mm,
so I'm yeah, I do have fleeting moments. I haven't have any for a while, actually, but
mm.
when they do come along, I just
Yeah,
bat them away.
yeah. I'll tell you what, we all go through that. And you know what? Whilst you were saying that, one of the questions that popped into my mind is, you've been doing this for 10 years. What's the biggest lessons you've got so far running your business, running your construction business?
The biggest lesson, um, I think, treat people well. Treat
Mm,
people well. I love what Richard Branson said.
mm,
He said, "Train people so they're able to leave, and treat people so they won't want to." And
wow.
um, and we Yeah, I really I hold on to that. It's not a
Mm,
particularly spiritual or
mm,
Christian
mm,
based um,
mm, mm,
ideology, but
mm,
actually,
mm,
you know, it's the people that make our business. Paul and I couldn't have a business like we currently have if there was um, if we didn't treat our employees properly and the people who work
mm.
with us, because they're key to everything that we do. And so that's that's where our focus and where our priority is. And that's probably the biggest lesson, is learning from other people who maybe don't don't have that same mentality, and who yeah maybe struggle more with staffing and staff turnover. Then yeah, I would say our biggest lesson is treat your staff well.
Wow, I love that. Treat your staff well. That's a great one. That's a great one for leaders. And the leader watching it right now, listen, that's a powerful one. I mean, John Maxwell also says, he says, people can't get ahead with you until they can get along with you. That's just summarizing what you just said. To treat
Yeah.
people well. Okay, so tell us, what's the vision for the future True Redside? What are you trying to accomplish?
Well, it's really more of the same.
Mm,
More of what we're doing. We've seen a good amount of growth in the last 18 months to 2 years. We've been very blessed with the work that's come along. Uh, yeah, we're blessed with the subcontractors and the employees that we have, um, and we want to make a difference with where we're at. So as long as we're doing that, then we're
mm,
happy. Whether our business needs to be, you know, 5 staff or 50 staff or somewhere in between, um, yeah, we just want to make sure that we're doing what God wants us to do. Uh, we want to make sure that we're treating people with respect. We want to make sure that the things that we're doing with our finances are honourable, um, and yeah, and that our clients are happy, and that probably one of the big things is making sure that the work that we're doing is making a difference in people's lives. Because it's easy to spend people's money, but there have been a few jobs, and some recently, where people have asked us to do something, and when it comes down to it, I don't really believe that that's what they're after. They don't want this job because it's not gonna solve a solution. It's not going to solve a problem that they have. And so
mm.
we've actually said to them, we're not the people to do this job for you, because we don't think that
Wow.
it's actually it's what you want or what you need. Um, and so yeah, we've kind of
Wow.
politely said thanks, but no thanks. We won't
Wow.
do this for you.
Wow. In this current economy, a lot of people would jump on that. I said, all right, we do that for you. Don't worry about that. Well,
Yeah,
wow, wow.
absolutely.
Why did you, was it a matter of principle for you? Mm,
It wasn't any no, it wasn't anything that would compromise our beliefs or our integrity, but it was
okay.
just it was things that people were going to be spending an awful lot of money,
Mm,
but actually what they wanted would not be solved by what we needed to do, what we were being
mm,
asked to do. And so actually
right.
we said no, this won't solve your problem. You know,
Mm,
an example: if you knock this wall down, it won't
mm,
solve your problem. The problems you have are more fundamental with the property, and so
mm,
it needs more money spending than than you're able to afford. So I don't
mm,
want to spend your money for you, because it's not actually you're going to get to the end of the job and you're going to say, wow, we spent a chunk of money, and actually it's not giving us what we needed. And that can reflect sometimes poorly on the bidder, because they're not giving good sound advice. And so we would much rather say no, we're not doing this job,
mm,
because
mm.
it's not what you want.
Wow. Wow. Amazing. Amazing stuff. And you talked about, again, doing something to make a difference. What are you currently doing as a company to making a difference to the community? What are you doing? 'Cause I know you're doing something. Tell us more about it.
Yeah, so for quite some time we wanted to be able to employ people who um, maybe need a break in the workplace. Um,
Mm,
maybe they're in a job that they're just really struggling with, and so we're able to offer them some employment so that they
mm,
can make a break from their current job, and then they're able to spend some time earning money with us to pay the mortgage and pay the bills, but use that as a springboard to find something else to do. So they're not trying to interview for jobs whilst taking time off their previous job. We're able to offer a place where they can come, they can bring some skills, they can do some work, and they're able to use that time just to think, have a breathing space, find out what it is they want to do with life, and then move on. And we found some people, and some people, do that, move on, and it's great. They find employment elsewhere, and some people stay with us. And so we've actually found that some people have stayed with us for nearly 6 years, on and off. They've been dipping in and out and coming to help us and do work, and it's paying their bills and their mortgage. That's one thing. And then another thing we've been doing is we have bought some property with the help of some Christian friends, which has been a real blessing. And we're trying to build some property and some houses so that people we know from church, people in need, are able to rent decent quality accommodation at a reasonable price, so that they're able to continue providing for their family, and their family are able to flourish and grow in whatever they've been called to do. And so we get people out of small 1-bed flats, and we put their family into a 2 or 3 bed property, and just help them to thrive, so that they can live out their calling, and not worry about whether the house is damp or it's too small or whatever it might be. But they can live, settle, and then do what they're called to do.
Amazing. Now, you know what? That was one of the things that got me interested in having a conversation with you in the first place, was that when I listened to you, and you when you had your podcast interview with Ray, I'm like, wow, because I remember going through that point in my time at the bank, and I'm thinking about the bank and thinking about Kelvin Inspires, what I do, thinking about the bank, thinking about my mortgage, my bills, and then thinking about pursuing the dream. And when you're in that moment, you're lost. You're in a place of your own. No one understands what's going through you. You can talk about the feelings, but no one really understands, because what you really want is that space to actually learn and do something. And so what you're creating is a space for people to come out of their current place if they're dissatisfied with it, and take up a new skill, try something without any restrictions, learn. If you enjoy it, do it. If you don't, you can move on. And I think that's a big part of that's a big part of helping people's lives. That's really good. I think that must come from a deep-seated place of love and care for people. I think that's good.
If we one thing we've always held on to is that you can if a man's hungry, then you can give him a fish and he'll eat, but to teach him, give him a skill, so that he's able to then go and do something himself, so that he's able to have his own business, to get out of the rat race and fulfill a dream of being self-employed or whatever it might be, then that's really important to us, because we can give people skills. And some people say to us, why are you investing in people who are just going to leave you? And we said, if they leave us, that's great. It means that we've succeeded, because they're in a position to forge their own career, build their own business. And so we're not possessive about our company. We're stewarding it. We're looking after it. We have employees, we look after them, but ultimately we can't take it with us. We're not gonna I can't take Redside with me when I go, so let's do something good while we're here.
Wow, amazing. I mean, I wish everyone could think this way, because what we see out there is a place where a lot of people are being held, oppressed financially and economically, because of a job, because of the founder's own desire to create an empire at the expense of people's lives. and you know, to see that you can actually run a successful business by caring for people and by not oppressing them, by letting them to actually fly. If you want to leave, great. You know, that means you found something for yourself, isn't it? You found a
Yeah.
reason. And this is why Dr. Miles Monroe, a great teacher in leadership, says leadership is about helping people find meaning to life, helping people find their meaning to life. And I find that it's a different game out there where people are constantly trying to get everything out of you,
Mm-hmm.
you know, just to fulfill their own agenda. So a great work that you're doing, and I think we need more people like you, Dave, more people like you, like you and Paul. You know, really concerned about people, and I think that's where Ryan, my last guest, was talking about the heart-centered leadership, where we can lead people from a place of abundance as
Mm.
opposed to leading people from a place of scarcity. I think that's the distinction. I really love that. So far in your journey, what challenges have you experienced as a leader dealing with people who work with you? Any particular challenges?
Um, we've not encountered many challenges because the people who we work with, in some capacity, we have a relationship with, we have a friendship,
Mm,
we have a connection.
mm,
Um, there are very few people that have come to us that we have not known in some shape or form beforehand. But actually, what we find is, because we're flexible, because we have their interest at heart, you
mm,
don't then find the confrontational aspects of the job, because
mm,
um, we're not massively demanding in the things that we ask. We don't
mm,
ask people to do things that Paul and I wouldn't do ourselves. Um,
mm,
we wouldn't. We try to treat them so that, because they're people at the end of the day. They
mm.
have families,
Come
they
on.
have mortgages, they
Mm,
have all the struggles that everyone else has in life, and so
mm,
we want work to be a place where people want to come, and if they don't want
mm,
to come, then
mm,
we failed them. We're doing them a disservice. And so, um,
mm,
no, all of the people that we work with are, we love having, and we love having work alongside us. And so,
mm,
yeah, they're not ours. We're not possessive about them. We
mm,
work with them. And so,
mm,
um, we want to make sure that we're treating people fairly. And so, if we treat people
mm,
fairly, then I don't think the people who work with us can really have any reason to grumble. If there are any
mm,
issues, they come and chat to us. We're approachable. Um,
mm.
we're not sat in an ivory tower. We're on
Yeah.
the ground. And so,
Mm, mm,
yeah, that's what's important to us. And so that's saved us. I think for the last 6 years,
mm.
we've had very, very, very few issues, if any.
Mm, I love that. I really, really love that. And I commend you guys because I think that's what leadership really is. And that brings me to this question because obviously you've explained this through, you know, your response to it. I can already tell what your concept of leadership is. But if someone was to ask you this question out, you know, on the street, Dave, what's your concept of leadership? What would you say that is?
I think leadership for us is giving people the ability to grow and to flourish in what it is that they're doing,
Mm,
and making sure that they feel like they're treated well and they're wanted.
mm,
And I think there are all too many stories of people feeling like they're oppressed at work, or they're
mm,
not valued, or
mm,
they desperately want to find another job because it will be
mm,
better and they'll get
mm,
treated well. and
mm,
and I
mm,
think that stems from the leadership of a company. So Paul and I treat people as we would want to be treated as employees. We treat
mm,
people, um, because they're valued. That,
mm,
Jesus has a value for everybody. He
mm,
There's no, you can't disqualify yourself from the love of Christ. And so,
mm,
we would try and have that similar mentality, that actually we we want these people to flourish. So it's
mm,
in our interest to give them skills, to treat them well,
mm,
to pay them
mm,
honorably, on
mm,
time. Um,
mm.
and so that's what's important. That really is
Wow.
our kind of our leadership. And I know that in the corporate world, that people will look at our business and think, wow, you guys have missed it, haven't you? You've missed
Yeah.
you've missed a trick. There's way more money to make than you guys are actually making. But it's not about that for us. We've both come from careers that are financially more lucrative. But this is about way more. This is about leading people. So that's what we want to do.
I love that. I love that. This is way more. I love that. And again, I think why I also connect with you because of that concept. We come from the same cloth in terms of the concept of what true leadership is about. And I say there's leadership. I mean, this is not what my saying. Miles Monroe says there is leadership and there is true leadership. Leadership is like, what can I dangle? Can I dangle a little car in front of you just to keep you motivated? Can I dangle that extra bonus so that you never leave me? But true leadership is beyond that. It looks beyond just the gain of the business, but how much of this person, how are we treating them? How are we valuing them? Are we concerned about their day-to-day life beyond the office? Are we concerned about what's going on within their own lives? And I think I really love that. So from your experience, so far you said it, but let me ask you this. So far from your experience, what makes a great leader?
Just being able to lead people, being able to give them space to grow, give them the ability, the resources to train, to feel valued, to be able to go home and not complain about the leader. I think if people were to go home and complain about the people in leadership of their company, then the leaders have missed something. They're sending a message that's not healthy to their staff. So we want to make sure that as leaders we're alongside us the people that we work with, that we're not there's not a massive hierarchy, there's not a them and us. It's we're in this together.
Come on now.
We try and make sure that we're not paying people the minimum that they need to be paid to keep them, but we pay them what they need to live and to live a life that they're comfortable in. And so to the detriment of me and Paul probably, but that's what's important to us, and that's we think that's what Christ would do, and we think that's what we should do.
I love that. I love that. You see, there's a correlation between, again, your faith and how you run the business. I think, again, the faith that we possess or that we live or we profess has it in itself, that element of caring for the people, treating people right. As a matter of fact, even Jesus said in the Bible, it says, greater love has a man for him to die and give his life up for the people. So I think true leadership comes from that belief of how can the people around me grow? And sometimes, like you said, to the detriment of yourself, and the detriment of Paul, to the detriment of your income. You're there out for the people. And I think that's true leadership. And I think when you can do that, and people can see that you truly care for them, as opposed to trying to build an empire, that you truly care for their success. And again, it's a togetherness, everybody working together for a common goal. I think that's the kind of leadership that I want to lead by. I think that's the kind of leadership that you and Paul are doing, and I commend you. And it's great to hear your story and to hear your journey, and also the belief that you have for leadership. And so, lastly, any words, any final words before we say goodbye?
I just think that that people in influence have a lot of influence over people. The people at the top, and I found this in the corporate world, that they have a lot of influence and a lot of power over those who work for them. And the trouble is that in business and in management, that gets abused all too often. And we want to make sure that that's not something that we can be accused of. We want to make sure that people are valued and really love what they do. And so our staff turnover at Redside has been fairly minimal, because yeah, we've actually got a couple of people who have approached us and said, "Can we come and work with you?" Which, and currently we haven't got any availability. But they, they've heard of Redside, and they know that Redside is a company that they want to buy into the ethos of, and so yeah, it's a good place to be. We love what we do. We love working with the people we do, and that really makes it easy to get up in the morning and to tackle another day head on, because you've got a great support around you. And so
I love it.
yeah,
I love it.
we love it.
I love it, Dave. I love it as well, because I know I've worked with a lot of construction guys, and I know the difficulty that they face, and it's a case of character, it's a case of principle, and it's a case of having a healthy ethos when it comes to leadership, leading from the heart. I really love that. You've been a fantastic guest for the show. Thank you, Dave. How can people get to meet you, get to know more about Redside Property?
Well, so we have a website, redside.uk. People can get in touch with us, send us an email, all of the details on the website. Yeah, I'd love to chat to people if they have any questions. They want to know more about our story. They want to meet some of the Redside team. Then yeah, great. We're happy to hear from people. So yeah,
Fantastic.
Thank you for having me as well.
My pleasure. And you're based in Bournemouth, is that right? Bournemouth as well?
It is. Yeah. Yep. Bournemouth. Yep.
Fantastic. Thank you, Dave. Thank you so much. A pleasure to have you here, and thank you again for carrying on the mantle. It's a heavy burden sometimes, but Jesus said, "My burden is light, my yoke is easy," and no matter how difficult it is, you've always got someone on your side, championing you all the way. So I celebrate you. I celebrate your leadership. I celebrate your mission and your vision, and I wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelvin. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you. And thank you to everyone watching, watching on YouTube or listening on the podcast. Thank you again. And like I said, you can contact Dave if you want to learn more about him on redside.uk. Fantastic guest on our show. I hope you all have a fantastic day until we see you again. Take care. Bye now.